welcome to The Path of Me. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson. I have a beautiful guest today, Allison Coe, who is a QHHT practitioner, and we'll get to that in a little while and explain what exactly that is. I think it stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique.
Correct.
Yeah, so welcome, Allison. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Yay. Thank you, Wendy. I'm happy to be here. Very happy.
Yeah. So you live in the Portland area.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, did you grow up there? Are you from the North?
Yeah, it's a rarity actually these days to find someone who actually grew up here. We both my husband and I are native Portlanders. And our families all live here and everything. So yeah, we grew up here, and it's changed vastly because it's such a great place to live. So many people are coming here, and that keeps it fresh and alive and organic. You know, it's just a wonderful city to live in.
Definitely attract a certain kind of vibe to a certain kind of individuals attracted to Portland. I know that people are very into nature. They're kind of eco-conscious.
They seem to be, yeah. We can, we have quite a bit of recycling programs and like food compost, and people bike everywhere, and there's
just this awareness, right?
It's truly an awareness. I don't know about you, but whenever I go somewhere, like we were just talking, I was just in Hawaii, and they don't have, well, at least on Oahu or in Honolulu, they don't have they don't have a lot of recycling programs set up. And so we're putting stuff in the garbage that we're not used to. And
feeling guilty about it, right?
Yeah, I feel so wrong. We were like, can we just pack it up and bring it home and recycle it?
I know, we need to help the earth. I was curious if you went to college in Oregon, or did you go straight into this type of healing work? What's your background?
You know, I actually... my background is so varied. I was a cook, I was a painter. I've been working since I was like 12 years old because I'm from a poor family. So if you want any spending money, you get your butt to work. And so I've been put to work for a long time. But I was a cook for about 7 years, and then I switched to like office jobs and became an accountant. And was a senior accountant at a company for about 12 years. And then I just, that whole time I was listening to spiritual studies and really working on myself and really changing my belief systems and becoming, and kind of peeling back the layers of who I am and releasing, and then working with others.
Powerful work, man.
Powerful work. And it is not pretty work. It is not pretty. And I really feel for people who wake up in a flash, because it changes everything, every relationship. But if you do it slowly, you can kind of integrate your growth into a structure that's already present. So into your job, into your relationships, into your lifestyle.
It's more organic.
It is, but there are people who are waking up fast and furious now, right?
Oh my gosh.
But mine was a slog. It was slow. It was steady. I had to not just conceptualize stuff. I had to constantly integrate it into my life and apply it and change myself. And then as soon as I would change myself, I would attract somebody who could benefit from what I've just learned. And so it was constantly being in that student, teacher role. And then, I knew I wanted more of that, and I wanted that to be my life. And so when I transitioned out of my job, I took the training to become this, to do the hypnosis that I do, that Dolores Cannon taught, the QHHT Quantum Healing Hypnosis. And it completely changed my life. It gave me an avenue to make a steady income while helping people, and I'm not going to say waste my time doing accounting, but it definitely, by the end, it felt like I was wasting my time and my skills, my passion and my ability.
It just wasn't in alignment with who you were anymore.
Right. It was in perfect alignment for me learning the spiritual stuff, and being able to incorporate that in my life, that was a super good launch pad, a very good foundational base. I had a regular job. It was boring. It was steady. And so I can learn all this crazy stuff, right? And do all this work. And then now I have a crazy job. I don't have time to work on myself.
About your work. Yeah.
What's that?
I can't wait to talk about your work.
Yeah.
Explain to people who aren't familiar with QHHT. I know you have a huge global following, and people who are walking a spiritual path and who are very aware of what this work entails. But if you could just explain basically what the foundation of this work is and the that you serve.
So always the foundation of this work is to help give people relief and clarity about their life and what they're facing, and help them release any blocks that they're experiencing. And the way we do that is through this hypnosis technique that Dolores Cannon came up with, quantum healing hypnosis. So we generally travel through a life, whatever life the higher self decides to show the person. Sometimes it's a past life, sometimes it's a future or parallel life. And then we access that person's higher self. Once we get through that life, we access the kind of oversoul of that person and start asking questions that person, that client has arrived with. Why have I struggled with addiction, or why was I abused, neglected? Why can't I find love? Why can't I find passion or creativity? Why do I struggle with weight? Any of that stuff, or health issues. And so I'm sitting there and I'm asking this person their own questions, but they're in trance, and we're able to access a higher state of consciousness.
They provided a list of questions that they want answered, issues they want clarity around, and you're kind of the guide. You're guiding the conversation, but they're getting very clear information from higher aspects of themselves. So there's tremendous clarity and truth that's going to come through those sessions.
Absolutely. And it's not the cool thing is it's filter free. So it's not me or a psychic or a medium, even though there are very gifted psychics and mediums out there. Their messages are filtered through them.
Exactly.
So this is filter free information, and no one is telling them what to do or what the reasons are. It's them telling them. And that has a profound effect on them. And it's extremely empowering.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think when you're hearing information from your higher aspects, there is such a clarity and inner knowing. It's going to resonate so strongly, because when you're hit with truth, you know it.
Yeah, most people do. Some people still experience that cognitive dissonance, where even though they've heard so much truth and so many detailed detailed prescription to follow from their higher self, if you do this and this and this, you will have the life you've always wanted. So many people, though, they might not decide to do those things because they might still feel unworthy, or their ego gets to talking again after the session and says, that can't be true, or you don't deserve that, or I don't trust it. So it's really interesting. It's really, really a game of self-believing in self and self-empowerment. And that takes work. That takes effort. That is not just a one-off.
It does. And I think society as a whole has been programmed from very early age to not believe in their power.
Yeah.
People have been disempowered. So to have to undo all that programming and to peel away and all that shedding of layers that we talked about prior to getting on the call is very challenging, especially if you don't even have an awareness.
Yes.
Been subjected to this type of programming your whole life.
I'm smiling because it is, it's all designed for a purpose, right? To keep society down in this level of fear and disempowerment, self-loathing and envy and jealousy. There are beings who benefit from that.
Mm-hmm.
But
absolutely.
But when just one of us rises up and claims our power and our self-worth and starts to turn up our dimmer switch of our light quotient, everybody benefits from that. Every single being on this planet, whether plant, tree, well, I guess tree is a plant, the earth and all the other beings, they all benefit from just each one of us turning up our light quotient.
It's like the impact is far greater than one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an exponential, expansive impact, because it's almost like as people come online and find their greatness and own their power and step into their truth, it's like they are being plugged into this massive grid of consciousness.
Yes.
Boom. Yeah.
Yes. All this.
People need to realize that you as an individual are so powerful.
Yeah.
You elevating can have such an incredibly powerful impact on the collective in a positive way, or you choosing to remain the same and stuck in your fear programming also has an equal and negative impact on the collective. And we're not talking about just your family members or your dog.
Yeah.
Humanity as a whole, right? We're all part of a collective. And so the goal, I think, for both of us in our work is to empower people and connect them to their higher aspects of self so that they can, if they choose, follow that guidance and become the highest and best versions of themselves.
Exactly. And we've been also programmed historically to believe in a messiah, in a guru, in a leader that's going to come down and save us and help us. But what this time is all about is each of us becoming that messiah, that leader, that guru in our own lives.
And trusting and owning that power. You
absolutely.
Guru, you know what's right for you.
Yeah.
You have the answers. You don't need somebody telling you how to live your life, or you don't need to follow a particular dogma or set of, I guess, markers or rules to meet.
Absolutely.
You need to really go in, stop looking out, right? Come in, which your work allows. It allows them to really connect to an inner, higher aspect of self.
It certainly does. It certainly does. And then it's incumbent upon each person outside of, so this is just a tool, right? So what I offer is just a tool, and you offer a tool. Outside of that time frame when they're using that tool, it's incumbent upon each person to start doing their homework, to start, if they want to keep going along that path and keep getting messages and keep being in right alignment with self and releasing, it's incumbent upon them to start slowing down, to start unplugging, to start connecting to who they truly are. So there is plenty of work to do outside of a session like this to keep on that path.
Yeah, it's really the opening of the door.
Right.
Like we kind of can open the door for you, but you have to decide to walk through the door.
Yeah.
And allow more light in and follow your intuition. I think alignment is one of the critical components of this awakening process. I think being in alignment with your truth and your higher self and your soul is the most critical aspect of this whole journey.
It truly is, because if you look at it like a musical instrument, so the human body is a musical instrument, as well as all the layers, the etheric layers or the energetic layers of the soul. It's all a musical instrument, and then we're part of a bigger musical instrument called the earth, and then we're part of a bigger musical instrument called the universe and multiverse. And so being in alignment tunes this instrument with ourselves, so we start sounding better. We hold a higher frequency. We fit within the whole better. And so, and then when we're in alignment and we're in tune, we actually help tune up the earth. And when the earth is tuned up, we're actually tuned to the universe better. And so everything flows better. We're a magical, beautiful instrument flowing through the universe. And that is something that's truly, I mean, truly so beautiful. So every person is a core piece of this puzzle. And that's what I see every time I have a session. I'm always humbled and amazed by how important each individual is.
Yes.
So important.
Regardless of what their perspective is.
Yeah.
We know how important and magnificent each individual is to this, this collective. It's like, if you can just come into your truth and alignment, it's like your heartbeat will connect to the heartbeat of the earth, to the heartbeat of humanity, and enhance it.
Yeah.
So I would just love to see more people take that journey back to themselves.
Yes.
And turn off the news and, turn off the mind and drop more into the heart.
Yeah.
It's what I would love for people to do, because the ego has a way of talking you out of things that are actually going to move you forward.
Absolutely. The ego will turn you into a couch to keep you safe.
Yeah, it'll keep you locked into your little bubble, and there'll be no growth or expansion, right? It allow everything our mind tells us to dictate our behaviors. It's like being kind of caught in a loop.
Yeah.
And you keep repeating the same patterns, and you keep dating the same kind of person, or taking the same kind of job, or responding in the same kind of way. It's almost like you are stuck in this glitch in the matrix.
Yeah.
Keep glitching.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And when you do just one thing different a day, there's a jog. You get out of that, you get out of that rut. You're creating like pathways out, just one thing different every day. So laying new neural pathways as you go through life, and integrating one new, maybe kind of allowing flexibility in your thinking that day. What if that was true? How would my life change if I believed that?
I think it's really important for people to ask themselves too, is the story I'm telling myself actually true? Right.
And if it is true, or if it isn't true, is it beneficial in any way to keep believing it? Right. Because that's the thing. So many people have a stickler for truth. Like, I remember it this way. It happened. Well, so freaking what? Does it help you in any way to keep remembering that?
Is it moving you forward or holding you back, right?
Yeah, let it
go, people. Let it go.
And I can only say that with a joke and a smile, because I've had to do that work, and I've moved past it, and I still have to do it, letting things that I'm telling myself go constantly. It's like old clothes or old underwear that doesn't fit anymore or has a hole in it. It's like, let it go, man. You don't need that crap.
Yeah, I think people need to be willing to let go of maybe things that have been in the past very comfortable to them. Like sometimes it's a relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're growing and that person isn't growing, and you're just going in different directions, and you're trying to hold on to something that's no longer resonant.
Yeah. Yeah, those, especially if the growth is one person going up and raising the vibration and the other person keeping at this kind of lower level, they become a tether for you. And so you almost can't move beyond unless you kind of open up your hand and release them.
Yes.
That's hugely important to keep doing throughout your life with people. And just like a bird.
Painful. It can be painful, and it can be a very scary process to surrender to that and know that something better and greater is waiting for you if you can surrender.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had to do that several times in my life, where I look at relationships and I look that they're trying to leave, and And I opened up my hand like this and imagined them a bird, and I just let them fly off. And if they're meant to come back, they will. And if not, a different bird is going to come back.
Right. Maybe a better bird will land on your hand.
A better bird. Maybe I'll get pooped on. Who knows?
You never know. It's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
I was curious about what, did you start seeing these patterns in your sessions early on?
No, I think
Just recently start finding these patterns in your sessions that you were like, wait a minute, there's something bigger happening here.
So for me, I require kind of a larger data set in order to see patterns. That's just how I'm wired. So I really needed like a year, a good solid year or a year and a half of steady work in order to start seeing these patterns, whether the patterns were in the information given to clients for healing advice or relationship advice, money advice, releasing things that were blocked, or whether it was about the future and the future of Earth or the universe or what have you. Yeah, it took a good long time to get enough data sets to see patterns weaving through, for sure.
Yeah, and so once you started to explore that, did you find that you were attracting more clients that were resonating with those types of subsets of information that were coming in? Or has it been just kind of hit and miss?
It's interesting because once I started talking about it, because I was exploring it before I started talking about it. Once I started talking about it, definitely people resonated with what I was saying and knew how open they felt an openness, I think, to the subjects that were important to them or experiences that they were having. And so they certainly resonated with what I was putting out there. And so I definitely got more clients who were interested in those subjects and were asking about them. Doesn't mean they always got information about them, because the higher self is like, sometimes they're like, no, you need to focus on you, not what's going on.
Right? You can't always dictate what's going to happen. Even in the sessions that in the energy work I do, the higher self really, you can't say, I have a back pain and I want my back fixed. That's not what this is about. This is about your higher self determines what is going to be most beneficial for you. Is it going to be emotional healing? Is it going to be releasing karmic stuff from 100 lifetimes ago? That's not up to us as practitioners to decide.
Yeah.
You have to leave it up to the higher self aspect. So maybe you could explain, Allison, for people who aren't really familiar with, the spiritual verbiage that we're using, what the higher self actually is.
Well, to me, it's the part of you that is kind of the oversoul, the higher consciousness that doesn't fit into this human body, that stays outside of the human body on what we call the other side of the veil, if you will. They can see all. They know all your past lives, and they connect to you. They talk to you all the time because you're a stream of them coming into this human body. So when we're actually pushing the ego aside a little bit, the ego doesn't disappear in these sessions. It's just kind of sitting aside, maybe on the shoulder, if you will. Then we're able to talk to that higher self much more clearly than if we're just walking around in normal life. But they're always connected to us. They're always giving us messages, signs, guidance, relief. And sometimes that's through dreams when we sleep, because certainly the ego is aside when we sleep. Mm-hmm. So they're like, oof, here's a whole bunch of dreams because you weren't paying attention during the day. But during the day, those signs will appear outside of us, in synchronicities, in numbers appearing, in actual messages trying to get our attention, or in songs. And then the key is, though, in order to connect to that part of us and get messages throughout the day is to quiet the mind on a regular basis through silence and stillness. 100%. That is the way to start getting messages throughout the day, either through being in nature, through being creative, through meditation, through moving your body. Those are ways. So those are ways to connect to the higher self and get the messages and the guidance that they're trying to give you, whether it's through intuition, intuitive hunches, or whether it's through actual visuals, or whether it's through auditory messages. We all get them different ways. There's a broad spectrum of how we get these messages, but the higher self knows our plan, our purpose, our relationships that we signed up for, all the lessons that we're supposed to learn. So they're always trying to keep us on a path of that learning. And they will. It's not easy. And they will.
We're all over the map, and they're trying.
We are all over the map. There's so many
maps, you know.
Yeah, because there's so much, you know, so many times in life where you're like numbing, you're dumbing, you're going along with passion and maybe lower vibrational passions instead of higher vibrational passions, and you just want to live the human experience or numb yourself from the human experience.
Right. It's kind of one or the other, right?
Yeah.
You're living or dying, man.
Yeah. So yeah, that's in my work and in my understanding, my belief systems, that is a higher self. And what we're doing as human beings in this time is we are starting to integrate more of that higher self into this human body, that higher self knowing of our past lives, of our parallel lives, of who we truly are as these multidimensional beings. The higher self has that knowledge, and what we're doing is evolving up to integrate more of that higher self into our bodies, to carry that knowledge with us. That's where we're going. Definitely.
I think the light quotient is raising. You know, the light frequencies that are hitting our planet are accelerating and growing. And
yeah.
The Schumann resonance is off the charts right now. You know, the type of energy that's hitting the planet, that impacts us as humans. You know, we assimilate, or we are meant to assimilate that energetic frequency, and we are energetic frequency. A lot of people don't realize that. What we're talking about here is frequency, because your frequency actually drives your reality.
Yeah.
So when we're saying the shift, people are shifting up. We're talking about creating a different reality and experience in your life based on the frequency you're carrying. Would you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I think absolutely. You know, these lights are coming down to the earth. This energy, this new frequency is hitting the earth and hitting everything on the earth. And in our job is to release the density of our beliefs, of what we're putting into our body and into our mind in order to match that higher frequency. Because if we do not, it becomes almost unbearable, because like I said, we are those musical instruments. And so we need to be attuned to these frequencies. If we're not, we sound like crap, you know. We hurt everybody.
Well, there's a tremendous amount of suffering that is created when there's resistance to the process.
Yeah.
So if you're out there listening to this interview and you're going through some emotionally challenging times, this is an opportunity for you to really examine what is happening in your life that's coming up to be released. This is the density that we're talking about that's presenting to you to choose to experience and then release, not hold on to and fight. Resistance is going to create a tremendous amount of pain and suffering. It will. And ultimately, it will increase and exacerbate the experience you're having, because ultimately the goal is to move you a little bit higher in your frequency and your experience. So you're going to get there eventually, but you get to choose whether you're going to get dragged over the rocks or you're going to be, you know, back floating through the experience.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
part of
absolutely.
it, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's it's always an inside job, releasing those things that are holding you back, that are keeping you dense. The more dense you are, the more dense your belief systems are, or the food that you intake is, the less light you let into your body. And you need to let more light into your body to match the light that's coming to this earth, because that's why it's coming here. It's coming here so that we can hold it and hold it to this earth. And so we are hugely important. So releasing those old beliefs that keep you held back into this third dimensional state of fear and envy and hatred. You have to release that stuff in order
Jealousy.
Jealousy. You have to release them in order to be along for this ride in a comfortable way. I have to do that work all the time, and not so much like jealousy and hatred or anything. That was way back in the day when I started this stuff. But now it's more like, if a judgment pops up, I'm so aware of it in the moment that I immediately release it. It's like, boop, out, boop, out. Or if I have a belief that somehow starts to become unbearable to still believe, it is actually, I get these a lot where I'm like, okay, I believed this for about 10 years. I believed this is what I wanted, or this is what I needed. And now that belief is actually holding me back from moving forward. And it's becoming unbearable to keep believing that.
It's like a thorn kind of working its way out.
Yeah, and it may have felt good at the beginning, though. Like, this belief helped me in the beginning, right, whenever I started having it, but now it's time to let it go. Now it's time to let it go. And as soon as I do that, because it's like a slingshot, it's like keeps pulling back, and it becomes unbearable. I can't pull back anymore. I have to let go this belief, and boom, I accelerate so fast anytime I let something go. And everybody will. Yeah. Everybody will. That's the cool thing. I'm as normal as they come, so it's like, so
right. I always say, if we can do it, everybody can do it. Right.
Absolutely, man.
So your QHHT sessions are in person, but I think recently you started offering some sort of online session, but is that a little bit different from the QHHT work you're doing?
Yeah, it certainly is. And what you're talking about is Beyond Quantum Healing. It's BQH, and that allows for a more organic approach to hypnosis or therapy in general, or any healing that a person does. So if you will, it started out with, if you're trained in QHHT, but you actually have these other innate skills and abilities or trainings like Reiki or something like that, that's an example, and you wanted to incorporate some Reiki into your QHHT, there's kind of rules against that. You're not doing pure QHHT. And so there was a desire by many people to start kind of moving beyond these kind of narrow rules or strict rules. And I think, it's really good to keep something traditional, but it's also really good to keep moving on and expanding, because at this time in our lives, if we're not expanding and growing, then we're doing it wrong. And so I do the traditional QHHT, but I also offer the Beyond Quantum Healing, where I can do it online.
Is it like this, where you're doing a Zoom kind of?
Yeah. We spend like a couple hours talking on the phone, during the interview, and then we do the hypnosis face to face. Well, I'm basically looking at them while they relax and fall into a trance. You
kind of monitor the process. Yeah. Because you really don't want to take somebody under and not have a visual,
I personally don't want that yet. Yeah. So I think some people are okay with that, but I do like a visual. Sometimes the
internet goes down or something.
Yeah. So that's why it's important for me to connect through the phone. So we have the audio is on the phone. And so
you can still talk them back up if something happens.
Yeah. In case the internet goes out, but also BQH is not just remote sessions by any means. That's just how I do them. But others are incorporating more of their natural gifts and abilities and healing modalities into a new service, basically. So it's a beautiful organic thing.
Yeah. So how can people find you?
They can go to my website. I'm creating another website, so I almost gave that name, but it's soulfocus-hypnosis.com is
And
my
I'll put
website.
that address down below. Does that offer both the QHHT and then the?
Yeah, well, it offers none right now because
I know your schedule is so packed, right?
yeah, well, yeah.
Schedule something with you.
So it's not that I'm booked to 2019, although I could be, but it's because I have this thing where it's like if I'm booked too far in advance, I freak out a little bit. And
Yeah.
so I only book for about 4 months in advance, and then I just stop because I don't want to know where I'm going to be in 4 months. I don't like that feeling. It's like handcuffs to me. And so this is my ability to like have a little bit of freedom in my schedule and still offer my services. But then I have my daughter's schedule to work with. So there's a bunch of stuff going on. So I book for a little while and then I have to put the kibosh. I have to close it down and then I can open it up. But if anybody wants to know my schedule, they can just sign up for my newsletter and I push that out when I'm ready to book again, and it goes pretty quick. But the cool thing is I'm not the only one. Like I said, I'm normal. I'm just, I'm just a regular person doing this work, and there are tons of practitioners all over the place ready to help.
They're worldwide.
They're worldwide.
And we can put the address for website for you to search if you're looking for a practitioner in your area.
Yes. And the cool thing is people who learn this stuff, whether it's mostly QHHT and maybe some BQHers, they do it for free for a while because they need to practice. So it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. You're helping somebody else by practicing. Sorry, that's my dog. Come on. Dad has a doornail now, so he won't respond to me. But yeah, there's somebody who's a match for you. They need you. You need them. Keep looking. Don't wait. Please, don't wait for me to become available. If you need help right now, please, there's somebody to help you. Always.
It always seems like people find the right for them too.
Yeah.
I feel like they're guided.
Yeah.
But they're looking to a certain name that resonates or a feeling that they get going through the life. So just really honor that, because that person is probably the right person.
Yeah.
If you're looking for someone in your local area.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at their face, look at the words they use when they're sending emails. You will get a resonance, you'll get a hit from them, and definitely follow that. If you were in any way kind of taken aback by something they say or anything, don't go to them, because you won't allow yourself, your ego won't allow itself to go
surrender that process. So you don't want to have resistance when you're experiencing it, right?
Yeah, you got to trust the person.
Yeah.
And so you can't keep one foot on the floor ready to bolt, to
save yourself in case something doesn't resonate.
That's right.
Yeah. So Allison, you've done a ton of this work. I'm curious if you have a couple words of wisdom you can share with people who are looking to find answers for themselves. Is there some sort of, common advice shared yourselves for people that you're treating that might benefit somebody out there?
Absolutely. Step one, start unplugging yourself more often from social media, from all the input that's coming into you from outer sources, from media, from friends, so whether the media is news media, TV, programs, or social media, or YouTube even. Start unplugging yourself more often. Take a break. And then the next step is to start paying attention. Once you start unplugging yourself from what's coming into you, you start decreasing that, you can start feeling what's arising in you and getting in touch and in tune with your body and the messages that you're getting. Whether, like I said, whether they come in through visuals or knowings, which usually comes in up here, auditory messages or just internal hunches, that come down here. You'll start getting in tune with your specific messages. Then the key is to start trusting them. Give yourself the chance to start trusting them. And often, in order to start getting those messages, it's a silence game. Give yourself moments of silence and stillness throughout the day. Start incorporating small moments of those. You don't have to stop, drop, and meditate. That's not what they tell everybody to do, because that doesn't help everybody. Right. They're not there. It's not a match for them. And so for some people, it is going into nature more often. For others, it's drawing or playing music. It's starting to get back to center and allow for a flow of energy to enter your body, and you'll start getting messages from that flow, and you'll start actually translating what's going on around you differently because that flow is there. So you'll start getting internal guidance and using your own discernment in such a different way. And so that is some of the best techniques that I know of to start accessing your higher self. Also, write down your dreams if you have them. Because what happens is they're giving you messages. You might not see them yet, but if you go back and reread your dreams, you'll start seeing themes weave through your dreams, answering your questions or giving you guidance about something that you're just about to face or you are facing. Mm-hmm. And so the messages are there from your higher self. It's all about reducing what's coming at you from the outside world and start increasing what's coming in you from the inside world.
It's like
what was that?
It's like tuning your radio to a certain frequency.
Yeah.
You have to tune in to FM radio to hear FM. You have to tune in to satellite to hear satellite. You have to actually consciously tune in.
Yeah.
To receive the information.
Yeah.
Just blasting through life, external stimuli, not paying attention to actually nourishing this physical vehicle in order to be in a good place to receive information. If we're constantly focused on the external, we won't have clarity and space to receive the internal truths.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we're constantly feeding ourselves fear and drama, then that's going to be our reality. And cutting that off actually gives you a whole new reality. It gives you the internal reality of being in the now moment where all joy and life and love exist. It all exists right here, right now. But if you're constantly in that loop of feeding yourself all of this fear and anxiety about the future, about the past, about then you don't get the benefit of the joy and the peace and the love that's ever present. And then the information. A lot of people just want the information, but guess what? The information only comes when you're in the now and you're focused on right now. So you have to pull yourself out of that loop.
Mm-hmm. And whatever you focus on magnifies.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
It expands. I
do also have to say the importance of diet cannot be overlooked because of the gut-brain connection is so important. The gut emotion connection is so important. I find that if I eat junk food, I have junk thoughts. I truly do. I found that connection a couple of years ago where I was like, holy moly. Like anytime I'm ingesting crap or processed foods, I actually can't think properly. I'll start having weird emotional hiccups and just.
That was a powerful realization for you.
It was very powerful, very powerful. It's so important to feed yourself the food that nurtures you and keeps you at a steady level. That is hugely important. And for some people that might be light meats, not everybody's supposed to go vegan, but definitely the higher vibration foods offer the higher vibration eternal, connections. Basically, you're a match for the light ultimately. So that's why
I think hydration is huge too.
Yeah.
A lot of water is really important. People overlook that, but it's an important aspect too.
Because water is liquid light. right? And so that's ultimately what we're turning into. We're turning into these light bodies. And when we this is actually interesting. This came through a session not too long ago. It said that I'm going to digress really quick. When we
Go ahead, go for it.
When we appreciate other conscious beings that are around us, whether they're, whether we think they're lower or higher or what have you, when we appreciate them and their importance, we actually expand our consciousness and increase our light. So it actually increases our own light to appreciate and shine out light to others. So you tuning into the light of others and the importance of others and the importance of, say, water and the importance of right nutrition, and you just start, because those are conscious beings, right? Water, light, everything has a consciousness.
Yes.
When you start appreciating and shining light to those things, your own light increases and your light body increases. And so that is hugely important. Appreciating what's out there and who's out there and who's doing work and who may be learning lessons, and you might not think they're doing work. They're doing work.
That's the thing. Removing the judgment.
Yeah.
Because what people forget is that each individual soul came to this earth school to learn lessons.
Yeah.
And by our intellectual standards, we might be judging that homeless person, right? Why are they on the street? Why are they taking our resources? Why don't they get a job? That person might be doing incredible soul work and learning incredible lessons.
Yeah.
That process. This is just a 2-minute story that my husband we live in Texas, so it's super hot out here, like ridiculously hot in the summer. We saw this homeless man pushing a shopping cart. He had all this crap in there. And he came home, he said, I got to take some water to this guy. I mean, it's just too hot. He needs water, So he took water to him, and he sat there and talked to him. And the guy was so well-spoken, very appreciative. And he's like, I'm writing a book. And he said, I've been researching this stuff on the internet. And he and my husband had this 10-minute, really enlightened conversation.
Yeah.
So you can't really judge a person by their exterior look or circumstances. We have to honor where every single person is on their journey, because every single person is on a journey. So if we can, like you're saying, remove the judgment from it, and see that they are connected to us, that we're all human beings, and honor where they are on their path, I think the world would be a much better place.
Oh my gosh, it would be. It's so important. Walking around with "thank you" on your lips, or in your heart, or in your mind. Heart's down here, mind. Thank you. A thank you and a gratitude for every being, even if it's a bird who just flew by and said hi, or a squirrel, or a teenager who's being loud and boisterous, and you're just like, you want to be like, man, shut up, No, it should be the thank you that's in your mind instead. Thank you for showing up. You're so needed. Somehow you are so needed. I might not be aware of why you're needed, but somehow you are so needed. And, sleeping or awake, doesn't matter. You are so needed. You have a purpose here. We need you. Show up, do your job, raise your light. You're a game changer, an absolute game changer. Yeah.
And I think allowing people to be who they came here to be. A lot of people are trying to, force their kids to fit into this certain kind of mold, or certain spouse to behave a certain way, or create a certain outcome. But by doing that, we're not allowing and accepting people for who they are, even if it's not resonant or in alignment with who we are. We have to really respect these people for who they are. Is what I guess my message is. I know I've said it about 5 different ways, but obviously I feel very passionate about that. Let's take the judgment out and try to show up with love and compassion, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only way forward. And you're holding yourself back. That's the thing. You're not holding them back by judging them. You're holding you back by judging them.
Right.
So it's incumbent upon you to let that go and move beyond that and say, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you for showing up. You don't have to tell them that.
Right.
You tell yourself that. Thank you, inside your head for showing up. And you know what? That appreciation is exponential. The effect of it is exponential when you say it to yourself. So many people can't get there for themselves. They almost can get there with other people. Oh, they're doing such great work. They're doing such great work. Well, look at yourself. You are doing you signed up to be here.
Yes.
You showed up. You're here. You are doing incredible work. Appreciate yourself. Don't discount that just because you may have a bad thought or may have drank too much last night. I don't know what you did, but I know what I do. And it's like, I still appreciate myself, even though I'm like, maybe crazy. But
I think people need to know just by being born in this dense environment. Okay, that's a win, people.
Yeah, you did it.
And you've made it this far in your life. That's a win. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So hard on yourselves.
Yeah, give yourself a pat on the back right away.
Exactly.
And going to work every day, you're doing something. You're doing something. You're hugely impactful. You're impactful no matter what. Mm-hmm. So are you going to go to work every day and complain? Because you're a powerful being. And so you're going to impact everybody, no matter what you do. So what are you going to align with? Are you going to align with, oh, I'm so small and weak and I'm in this situation? Or are you going to align with, oh, I got this. Like, I am powerful. I'm going to up the light here today by smiling, by being nice, by saying thank you, by, just spreading joy. You're powerful either way. You're having an effect either way. So what are you going to align yourself with? And that, like I said, that directly affects your light quotient by shining it out of your eyes on others actually increases the amount of light that you carry, right. and shining it back on yourself. Forget about it. It's over. Like, so many people are like, they'll compliment me on, you're so light. You carry so much light. And it's not because I'm doing anything. I appreciate people. I love people. And that accidentally turned on my own light. I'm like, hey, look at this. I benefit from loving people. I benefit from just enjoying people and enjoying things and telling them that, or telling myself that. I benefit from that. It's changed my whole life, just being in alignment with that. And so, yeah, I don't say this stuff without actually having done it, Yeah,
you're walking the path. You're not just out there spreading a false message and then in the closet drinking yourself into oblivion or something. Actually, out there spreading light, being light, and how you show up in the world. And I thank you. I thank you for your work. I thank you for your time. That you shared with us today. There's so much incredible info that you shared. So, Allison, it's such a pleasure to see you, first of all, live. I just want to thank you for being you and for sharing all of this powerful information with the world, sharing your light with the world. It's such
man. Yeah, and we all thank you. Thank you for having me here, and you too, Wendy. Like, your work is incredible, and people always reach out to me and tell me about it. Tell me about your work in particular and how they've changed because of it, and it's so beautiful. And I want to do it myself. The Marconics. I want to try it.
We'll connect for sure.
And we're just two people in this world who are trying to align themselves with more light, trying to increase the light quotient of the earth. But we're not alone. Everybody is so impactful. Everybody is so important. And if you can do one thing every day to increase somebody's light, you're doing it, man. You're doing the work. And I appreciate everything that people are out there doing. There are so many amazing people out there, and they don't even know it half the time.
Right.
No clue.
But we also need to tell you all to, if you need help with the process, reach out. That there's only Allison and I mean, there's this whole world of people who are available to you to help you go through these ascension symptoms and to help you work through emotional distress, whether they're therapists or healers or QHHT, trained people. There's so many resources out there, so you're not alone. If you feel like you're struggling, or you just think you're crazy, because a lot of times as you're going through ascension, see, you have an awareness of stuff and you're like, oh my God. And you have nobody to tell, because if you tell like your family member what you just experienced, they'd be like, we need to commit you like right now.
Yeah.
So, reach out to those of us who are here to serve this population,
Yeah,
to help.
absolutely.
So Allison, it's been such a pleasure. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for your time today. And
Thank you.
Who are watching us, I hope you'll subscribe, like, and share to The Path of Me, my YouTube channel, Wendy Hutchinson. I hope you'll all be kind to yourself and allow